Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T. Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Can't wait for you to meet Miss T. She is the T in T.
Okay, so I have something really cool to share with you guys today. Right now I'm sitting in my brand new office in my brand new building, and I just thought it would be neat, instead of doing a podcast from one of the studios today, to just kind of give you a glimpse into where I do what I do every day. So welcome to T's office. And today I want to talk about something really cool. It's about dreams. You know, that's my thing. I like it when I can help people accomplish something that they've been dreaming about. I really, really love it when I can help people see how great they are. I really love it when I can help people see the fullness of their potential. And I think that sometimes people don't know how amazing they are just because of, surroundings or experiences. But when I get the chance to help people grow in a way that causes them to succeed and live the life of their dreams, it's super rewarding to me. And I get the extreme privilege of sitting in that for myself every day with my team. And I just thought it would be neat if I'm sharing some of my dream building and dream setting goals and strategies with you, that you could see me sitting in a dream of mine that was, I don't know, about 15 years old. So this is a book that I made in 2014, 2015. And at the time, I was just coming off of welfare. I had about $600,000 worth of debt that I was just coming out from under. And I was, parenting my kids and trying to get them, in a good, strong place. And I had just started doing classes for kids in schools. And I told myself, one day I'm going to have a building of my own. And so what I did was I started documenting, what would that building look like? I'll show you some of my pictures. What would that building look like? It'll have dressing rooms. It'll have natural lighting and dance studios. It'll have, nice floors and a front desk and state-of-the-art stuff and really cool things like that. Lots of glass so that parents can see their kids participating in class. Long hallways, lots of pop colors. So this book I made, you can see my little earmarks and my little Post-its, because I've referenced it so many times, over the past 10 years, over 10 years. But I told myself, one day I'll have a place where kids can come, where their parents can come, and they can learn how to be creative. They can learn entrepreneurship. They can just be happy in good company with quality people that are all interested in their success. And so, again, I'm talking a bit about resilience and dream building. And I started with creating a vision for myself. And it's really neat that I get to sit in it now, and it inspires me to do bigger and to do more. So a good handful of days ago, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. We walk and talk quite a bit, and I was telling her how, what do you do when the big one happens? Like you've been dreaming to birth something remarkable for so long, and then it happens. And I was going back and forth inside of myself and with her. She's a sounding board for me, and I was telling her how there's parts of me where I feel like super excited about all of this, but then there's other parts of me where it's like I feel a little guilty that I actually did it, and then there's people around me that are not living the success the way I'm living. And I don't mean to sound judgmental or comparative or anything like that. It's just that I almost had to fight myself from hiding or shrinking back. You know what I mean? And so, again, just kind of talking myself through that and getting some insights and some wisdom from a friend that I trust, I found that, she said, it sounds like survivor's guilt. And so growing up, I've mentioned this so many times before, but you live in a community where we just didn't know who was going to make it from day to day. We're dealing with drug wars and, gang wars and things like that. So there was always that little bit of something that, you made it out or you made it up. And so, and having this conversation with her, I realized that I had set this lofty dream and lofty goal for myself, and the fight was real. having to be, keep showing up every day and bouncing back from blow after blow. It was real, and it was real hard. And the fact that we've landed in a place that we can call success, I'm having to now allow myself to be in it, and then allow myself to be happy, enjoy, and people say, "Aren't you excited?" I'm like, I mean, I know I should be, but I'm really contending to just be in it. And I know that this is like a part of the transition process. So hopefully as I'm working through it, I could share these things with you. So as you're going from level to level and you're growing and you're changing and you're evolving, you can have some recognition of the emotions that will attach themselves once you start breaking through to different levels, punching different, ceilings, breaking down different walls. There is some emotional strategy you're going to have in order for you to not just make it to the next level, but stay and thrive at the level. Because sometimes when something's so uncomfortable, it can cause you to go back to what you know. And another thing, I'm going to add this real quick. Identity is very, very important. Once you start evolving and growing in your career, your education, your branding, your identity will evolve too. And I think, one of the things that I was contending with when I was like, oh my gosh, I feel a little guilty about all this, is that I wasn't staying current with myself. I had changed. I went from, dance teacher in the classroom at one point to CEO of a thriving multi-city, multi-state, almost national organization that's transforming hundreds of thousands of lives. Those two people are violently different. And so the thinking, the behavioral patterns, the ideas, the feelings and the emotions were still with this lady who's just, momming and loving and, in the classroom with the kids. She had to recognize that she'd become someone else. And being current with yourself is very, very important, because it'll help you when you're starting to feel, wait a second, am I supposed to be here? Wait a second, is this really my life right now? And so I offer that as a little bit of advice, that being current with you is very, very important. And it's going to require you to study yourself. Okay, so something that I have been really working on within myself and helping other people for the past several months easily is resilience, something called resilience. And before I give you like the gist of what we've been figuring out, I want to give you the definition of it. And this is that Webster's 1828 definition of it. It says the act of leaping or springing back, or the act of rebounding, like the resilience of a ball. And so when I read that definition, I thought of like a tennis ball. You throw a tennis ball to the ground, how quickly it pops back up. And the more force you put behind the, throwing it down, the higher it bounces back up. So keep that definition in mind. It's going to be very, very important as we kind of build this thing. The second definition is capable of withstanding shock without permanent deformation or rupture. That basically means you can take whatever the shock of a situation is that's thrown at you. And most often people are not aware of how strong they are until challenging time comes, or until you're shocked by something just ridiculous that happens to you. So I'm just sharing this with you. Resilience is you can take it. You can take the shock of a situation and bounce back from it. Third definition is tending to recover from or adjust easily to misfortune or change. And the reason why that definition is so ultra important is because now we live in a day and a time where everything is changing second by second. So, before we would live in a time where there was some steady, and then there'd be a bump in the road, then there's steady, then a bump in the road. Now there's nothing but bumps in the road from minute to minute, from second to second. And so resilience says that you have the ability to recover and adjust easily to those changes and misfortunes that are presenting themselves almost all day, every day. You're resilient. And then the third definition is the ability of people or things to recover quickly after something unpleasant, such as a shock or an injury. And again, this way to bounce back, this resilience and bouncing back, Before it's something that strong people do, is something that, sharp people do, is something that athletes do. Now it's something that everybody has to do just because of the times that we're living in, and because you have dreams, because you have goals, because you want a better life, because you want to be stronger in life and show up stronger in life. Resilience is going to be the ingredient that not only keeps you rising, but it also sets you apart. There's going to be a lot of people that will just continue the status quo of the day. But if you're tuning into this, you're one of those people that want more from your life. You want to tap into the vast potential that you have inside of yourself, and resilience, the ability to bounce back and bounce up from troubled situations, from challenges, from shock, all of that stuff. Like, you're going to have the ability to bounce back because now you're aware that you have resilience. You just need to practice. And remember, anything that you practice, you can perfect. So you want to perfect resilience. And so one of the things that I've been teaching lately, especially, with the people that I'm coaching and mentoring and different conferences that I do across the country, is, when you're experiencing an attack or a bad situation or something, change that's unpleasant, you get to choose what you do in the moment of that experience. And sometimes people will set themselves in that experience because they're upset by it or hurt by it, and you'll just keep talking about it and you'll keep thinking about it. But that's not what resilience says to do. Resilience says put a timeline on that thing so you can bounce back from it. You can control how long you stay in a situation that's unpleasant or unwanted change or difficult change. You can put a timeline on it. And what I mean by that is, you can, let's say, for instance, somebody hurt you, and I get this regularly because I love what I do and I love the people that I do what I do for, but I have to remember that I'm dealing with people, and people are fragile and people are fickle. So one minute they'll love you, the next minute they'll hate you, and you don't even know what the heck happened. So when I experience a hurtful experience with, the people that I love and serve, I have to tell myself, okay, T, you can sit in this unpleasant experience until 5 o'clock. But after 5 o'clock today, you're done with this thing. Or you can sit in this moment that you went through in your past until spring. But by the time spring is done, it's time for you to relaunch into something new. You can put timelines on how long you stay in an experience. Now, I'm not suggesting you don't allow yourself the benefit of working through a process emotionally, because that does take time. And sometimes, in order for something to heal, it has to hurt first. And then, that teaches you, well, don't do that again. So there is a process for healing. There's a process for transition. There's a process for going forward. And I'm not saying avoid that, because if you avoid that, you won't learn from the thing, you won't grow from the thing, and you won't heal from the thing. What I'm saying is, put a timeline on it. Give yourself the window of time that you need, that you need in order to heal and recover and bounce forward from the thing. Now, let me give you just some tactic that I use, especially when hard things hit. And the tactic that I'm referring to is what I think in my mind, because resilience really is a mindset. It's not an action as much as it is a thinking and a belief. Your belief system is super key around these things. And so let's say, for instance, I've had really, really difficult things. I've had a situation in the past where I had a competition team, and I'm working with all these kids, and we're winning awards and top honors, like international honors across the country. And I had one parent not be happy with how, things were run, or how much control or say-so they had over the thing. And again, when you're in the business of people, you got to expect this kind of stuff. So what she did was she got with a bunch of other parents that were a little more docile, if you will, and they became disgruntled, even though they didn't have an issue with me. They were just siding with the parents, and before you know it, I had a group of parents who were planning to pull their kids from my program. They'd already found another choreographer. They were already rehearsing at this original parent's home who started all the coup, and they were going to surprise me. And all the kids, on a practice day wouldn't be with me. They would be someplace else. And so I found out about it. One of the young people, they're just like, Miss T, this bad thing is happening. I just wanted you to know. And I called a meeting before they could call their meeting. And I had everybody in there. And I'm just like, okay, tell me what the problem is. Let's work through this. I'm trying to figure this thing out, right? And ultimately, they didn't want to figure it out. They just wanted to take what I had built, the championship team that I had built, and just go do their own thing with a bunch of trained kids. And so when I said, well, no, I mean, you can go, but you're not going to take my whole team, you know. And at the time I was still learning certain business things. So, you know, ownership of the name and the brand and all that stuff, I hadn't quite learned it yet. So essentially they could have gone on with everything that I had built and created and been very, very successful with it. And a good number of them did. But because I found out about it, they got upset with me and they decided to sue me. They wanted to sue me for everything that they paid me, stating that they didn't get their money's worth. And my argument was, you have a championship team that you are now using all the choreography and you're champions and you're going on and you're doing these wonderful things with all the training, and you want me to give you the money back for the training that's now working for you? It was bananas. But anyhow, I went back and forth to court for an entire year. And what that started to do to me is make me not want to work with parents. And I'm in the business of kids. I have to work with their parents. And so I'm building my case for resilience, because I was so hurt. I mean, some of those kids, I was paying their fees, I was buying them clothes, I was helping with gas money and groceries, to my own deficit, my own family deficit. And I didn't get a thank you or anything. In fact, you're going to sue me in court, which cost me business, because then they had the news and all sorts of crazy things coming against me. And in this window of time, I had a choice to make. I could let this make me hurt and embittered and angry and ugly, or I could put a timeline on how long I settled or set in the experience. Otherwise, it would corrupt everything that I'm doing today. Because guess what? I'm still working with thousands of kids and their parents. And if I would have let that set of parents mar everything that I'm doing going forward, there's no way I would have been able to impact and develop and grow and love on so many more kids than the kids that I started with. So bottom line, once we got through the thing and I made the decision that, you know what, I'm still going to go forward and help other kids, no matter how these people thought, felt, no matter the experience I went through, even though I was justified in being angry and hurt, I didn't let it stop me. Again, resilience had to kick in. And so I decided, okay, how do I bounce back? How do I bounce forward? How do I keep the momentum going forward? Because the ultimate goal is to service all kids. The big picture, the huge vision is to service all kids no matter what. So even if one day they love me, the next day they hate me, no matter what, the big picture is I serve kids and their families. And whatever I'm enduring in life, this hard, ugly thing, and I felt like I was just getting not just kicked down, but kicked while I was on the ground by people that I loved so much. But again, having that experience, it did something. It built the momentum that propelled me forward. It also cemented in me that, you know, rain or shine, good or bad, this is what I'm going to do. So that particular test became a momentum factor as I applied resilience, and it really truly bounced me into the destiny that I'm still walking out today. And why did I share that story? Because it was ugly and it was hurtful, and sometimes people are mean, and you're going to have those experiences, especially as you continue to succeed and grow in life. Don't bury your head in the sand and think that, you know, everybody's going to love you. That is a fallacy that social media is teaching us, that you want a bunch of likes. Guess what? You're going to get some dislikes. Guess what? You're going to get some unfollows. Guess what? You're going to get some people that are going to say some really gnarly, unpleasant, hurtful, hateful things, and they don't even know you. And guess what? You're going to have to learn to bounce back from that. You're going to have to learn how to be resilient and be very clear that this is what I do. This is who I am. This is where I'm going, and by any means necessary. And so again, resilience, the ability to bounce back, the ability to bounce forward. Here's a beautiful thing about being attacked or having a hard situation like that. When those things come to smack you down, you want to think of it this way. The harder you throw a tennis ball to the ground, the higher it goes when it bounces back up. But the act of bouncing back up, that's the resilience. So sometimes we focus on the fact that we got hit down. Sometimes we focus on the impact of us hitting the ground face first and losing everything, but you're focused on the wrong thing. Think of the momentum it builds and the capacity it has to bounce you back up because of the resilience that you possess inside of you. So you want to make sure that you're putting a timeline on things. Don't live in the past. The past is called the past for a reason. No matter how much it hurts, give yourself the time you need to heal from it, but don't keep living in it. Bounce forward, bounce up, be better, come back stronger, come back higher, do more, and make sure that you're maintaining the mindset that says, this can do one of two things. It's either going to make me or it's going to break me. But whichever one of those it is, you get to pick. You get to pick if this thing is going to make you or break you. And I watch so many people settle into, this hurt me, and it broke them. And they're stuck looping in a time that they cannot recover from because they're not insistent on bouncing back, bouncing forward, and letting the past be the past and run hard and fast to the finish line of your future. There's so much that you can do by way of potential and capacity and ability and strength, but you'll never know it if you're settled into a time and a place that you cannot control, you cannot relive, you cannot redo. You don't even want to redo it. You don't even like the people that were there anymore. Move on, bounce forward, bounce upward, and let the resilience of your life keep propelling you in the direction that you want to go, which is your dreams and your goals. Again, I started with the fact that I am sitting in a dream right now, and I was feeling kind of bad about it. But the more I think about it, the more I live in it, the more I express my gratitude with it, it helps me to understand all the stuff I went through before and how it was designed to propel me into the now. Now I'm more focused on, okay, if I can achieve this, now I'm looking at the global landscape of my destiny. And so I'm suggesting that you remember one word: resilience. You know, when hard times come, and they're going to come. When shocking experiences happen, then they're going to happen. When change presents itself, and it's going to do that all day, every day. You remind yourself of how great you are and how resilient you are. Go back and look at all the times where you could have quit, but you didn't. That should show you that you can practice resilience and win with it, no matter what comes your way. I hope that you are encouraged to practice resilience. Remember, whatever you practice, you can perfect. Anything that you can perfect, you can become a master at it, and before you know it, it will be your lifestyle, and you'll be doing it and not even thinking about it. You're stronger than you think, and you're better than you know. So today's podcast really is to encourage you. Bounce back like a tennis ball. Bounce back. No matter what you're sitting in right now, bounce back and be very clear about which direction you want to bounce. You bounce up and forward, or you bounce backward, or you can just idle right where you're at. And anything that's not going up and forward, it's either doing this or this. And if anything's declining, that means you're dying slowly. If anything's flatlining, that means you're already dead. As long as you're climbing, baby, that means you're alive and you're winning. So I'm just encouraging you today to be resilient. Bounce back, bounce up, and be very, very clear about where you want to land as you're bouncing up from level to level. Okay, so I'm going to land this with 3 things that I am just challenging you to do. Number 1, make sure you're writing down your dreams and your goals. That is what's going to give you the vision that you need to propel you forward. Number 2, look at them regularly. And number 3, examine your life, examine your day, examine your relationships, examine your experiences. If there's anything that's calling you back to your past or calling you to settle into unpleasant, difficult moments, shocking experiences, even though they happened years ago, then you want to start to cut those things out of your life. And even if it's you taking a break from certain relationships, I remember having conversations with people, and it would take me right back to that difficult time with those parents. And so I've learned that maybe for a season we shouldn't talk as much until we can find other things to talk about that propel us both in a positive, healthy direction. So you need to examine your life, examine your circles, and make sure that you're not reliving moments that you want to graduate from. So write them down, goals, dreams, get them. 2, Study them daily. That's going to give you the vision you need to go forward. And number 3, clean up your circle, clean up your life. Anything that's pulling you backwards, get rid of it. Cut the anchors, cut the chains. Go forward. You want to fly up and fly high and fly forward. In order to do that, you don't need anything weighing you down or pulling you back. I hope this was helpful for you today. I practice resilience regularly, and some days it's easy and some days it's not, but I practice it, and I'm suggesting you do the same. If you like this and anything else that we're putting out, make sure you like it, make sure you subscribe, leave a comment or 2. That way other people can see what's helping you and it may help them, and share it. That's super important. Don't be selfish, man. You got to share this stuff with people. Our goal is to help people, not just in our local city and not just in our local state, but we really, truly are looking to help people all over the world. That's my goal. That's one of my dreams, is to be a world changer. And you can help me do that. So make sure you do all those things: like, share, subscribe, hit the button so you know when the next one's coming out. And I thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you again.